We've got a powerful week ahead for the Twin Flame Collective. The Divine Masculine, he is rising, but not from power this time. This is rising into purpose. The Divine Feminine, I feel there's a big fall for you, but not a fall from grace this week. This is a fall into freedom. And the combined energies, the twins are standing at the edge of destiny, I feel, this week, and those who choose to leap into truth will be able to walk the path of union. We've got a Taurus New Moon this week. This is more than just a reset. This is a timeline split. And so we've got a cosmic choice this week. I do feel this week is the final invitation to surrender the false and to become the fire. Are you ready for this week's message? Hit that like button and let's get into this reading. Hey, good morning. Welcome in and welcome back, everybody. It is Laura from Tenacious Taurus Tarot and Astro Insights, and we are going to talk about this powerhouse of a week that we have in store for the Twin Flame Collective for the week ahead. We're going to break it down for the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine and the collective energies playing out, because we have a very important week, I want to say, of divine embodiment, and there's a lot of karma that is clearing as we step deeper into our purpose and our mission. And my birthday is coming up this week, and I do feel this is really amplifying the personal stakes for me in my own personal twin flame journey. And so let's break it down transit by transit. Tuesday, April the 22nd, we do have the Sun in Taurus in an opposition to Lilith and Scorpio. And so whenever there's an opposition, there's a clash between the opposing energies and the polar opposite of energies. But I do feel this is triggering a deep desire for grounded stability, especially with the Sun in Taurus and that raw, untamed, shadowy, feminine energy of Lilith and Scorpio. And so there's going to be exposure. There's going to be exposure connected to any hidden power struggles. There's going to be exposure connected to unhealed sexual and energetic wounds between the counterparts, especially wounds connected to abandonment, control issues, and shame. And so there could be deep resistance to surrendering to this truth of these deep-seated feelings. So Divine Feminine, get ready for old wounds around rejection, shame, or even feeling too much to rise to the surface. But I do think you're going to be feeling a little bit misunderstood, or like maybe you've been forced to suppress your wild, authentic power. That's that Lilith energy surfacing. And so this really is a call for the Divine Feminine Collective to own that sacred rage, because we do have to own our sacred rage and our sexuality and sensuality without apologies. And so I do feel, let the Lilith energy guide you back into your body and your authentic truth. Divine Masculine, there could be a lot of projection in the energies this week, leading to fear of losing control, especially in the face of this very strong Divine Feminine energy being activated in the collective. I think the masculines are going to be feeling a little bit challenged by the Divine Feminine's refusal to be tamed. And I do feel this transit really is pushing the masculine to confront their own inner discomfort around vulnerability and emotional intensity. Wednesday, midweek, on April the 23rd, we are going to have the Sun in Taurus in a square to Pluto in Aquarius. We're dealing with a lot of fixed energy this week. And so I do feel this Plutonic energy is going to bring forward deep transformation and potential for ego deaths, right? And I think we go through many layers of the ego death. I do think I went through a catalyzed ego death over the weekend. I was taken down by some energies and I had to just lay in bed and rest. And so I think the Sun energy in Taurus wants to hold on to the familiar, right? But the Pluto is insisting on evolution. And so this really is a square that will feel like many are being ripped out of their comfort zone. And I am dealing with this square currently within my own personal birth chart, being an early degree Taurus placement. And so there's going to be, I feel, a major shift in relationships, money, and personal identity. Divine Feminine, you are being asked, I want to say, to release these old stories, right? The old stories around worth, the role that you play within relationships, or how you think you're supposed to be in order to receive love. And there's going to be a major shift in self-value. I do feel that. And I do think your purpose is really going to be catalyzed with this shift middle of the week. It's really a week, I want to say, to lean into embodiment practices, because your cellular DNA and your cellular body holds all of this ancient wisdom. Divine Masculine, the pressure is on. The pressure is on to evolve. And I do think that the ego is feeling a little bit threatened in this transit, right? You're being stripped of all of those false personas, those false masks, and anything tied to status or logic, or where you are being called to provide in an outdated modality or way. And so this is going to be a very vulnerable moment that is opening the door to rebirth for the Divine Masculine Collective. Thursday, April the 24th, we talked about it on the weekend in my collaboration with dear Audrey. We're going to have that third and final conjunction between Venus and Pisces and Saturn and Pisces. And so this is the integration of these love lessons. And so the collective, I want to say, this is where the heart meets the teacher again. And so this really is wrapping up a cycle that began back in January and February, and it's really time to commit to love that honors your soul, not just that fantasy, right? And so there are karmic cycles still playing out in the collective. They will be ending by the end of this month, and something might even escalate to force some type of closure if you still find yourself circling around in a karmic cycle. And so Divine Feminine, I gotta say, you have matured emotionally on this awakening journey. And so there might be grief, letting go of an old version of love or an old karmic story that maybe you were still clinging to, but you are anchoring in this divine union this week from within. That's really what this is telling me. The sacred feminine is no longer waiting to be chosen. I know that's where I'm at. I'm ready for the next 7-year cycle, and I'll get to that. And so Divine Feminine, this is where you choose yourself and you trust in divine timing, right? Because what is meant for us will never evade us as long as we come into that alignment and that union of self. And so Divine Masculine, those heart walls that you've built around your heart, they are being dismantled brick by brick. And so you're not learning only to feel, you're learning to act through your emotions. And so you might be realizing where you've withheld love or vulnerability, or where you've stayed in a fantasy as well without grounding it in. And so this really is a week, I want to say, of a powerful level up for the Divine Masculines. This is a moment of surrender to the masculine soul path. Friday, April the 25th, Mars and Leo in that square to Lilith and Scorpio. And Saturday, we're going to have Mars and Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius. And so all of this fixed energy coming to the surface. And I love fixed energy, because fixed energy has that determination to go after what it is that they want, right? But it can be a little bit stubborn at times. But I do feel with the Mars and Leo square Lilith and Scorpio transit, this is where the Mars energy wants to express that passion boldly. I'm a Mars and Leo. I'm actually a late degree Mars and Leo. But this Lilith and Scorpio energy, it's demanding truth. It's demanding raw emotion and depth to these emotions. And so there could be sexual tension. There could be a power play plowing you through these emotions, or even an urge to dominate or to be dominated. There's going to be a lot of jealousy and possessiveness that's going to spike and skyrocket in the collective. So Divine Feminine, the Lilith and Scorpio energy is pushing you to reclaim your sacred sexuality on your terms. And so you might be feeling triggered by past partners who did not honor your emotional depth, or by past partners who had tried to control you or even possibly have abused you. And so this really is a moment, I want to say, for you to fiercely protect your sovereignty. Divine Masculine, this is the forceful moment where you need to confront all of your unhealthy desires, where you have been ego driven in your pursuits, or where you feel that fear of that emotional exposure. And so there's going to be conflict, I think, surrounding the masculine around needing to control or impress. That's that Mars and Leo, I think. And so the higher octave of this transit, I want to say, is bringing the courage to show up authentically. for those that are brave enough to go through this portal of energies. And then on Saturday, April 26th, this is also my birthday. This is where Mars and Leo will oppose Pluto in Aquarius. And so what I got to say is this is not only my solar return, this is a solar reset for me, because the very next day we have the new moon, and the new moon will be conjunct my sun sign. And so I'm really excited this year because these energies are feeling supercharged for me. I sat with that, right? And I think I'm in a very transformative, grounding portal in a very soul defining way. And so I'm preparing for a new 7-year cycle. This is a solar reset for me in major cosmic proportions. And so let's talk about a solar return first off. A solar return is when the sun returns to the exact degree it was the moment you were born. That's considered your astrological birthday, and it sets the tone for your personal year ahead. Numerologically speaking, I'm going into a personal year of a 3. My life path is also a 3, and so I think that's pretty significant. 3 is connected to the Empress and creation. And so a solar reset is a little bit different than a solar return. A solar reset is when a major lunation, either a new moon or eclipse or full moon, aligns with your natal sun. And so this is a rarer event, and it adds a deeper layer to this soul initiation on my birthday this year. And so this is a new moon where I am being asked to plant those seeds. It's like the universe, I want to say, is handing me this blank slate, and I'm feeling it. I feel like I'm so ready to let go of the twin flame connection. I'm ready for whatever the universe has prepared for me moving forward. And so I'm kind of focused on, what do I want to become? What truth am I ready to live through? And what do I want to build and ground in over the next 7 years? And so I'm going through a major renovation internally and externally. It was about 7 years ago that I met my counterpart, and so I'm closing out a major 7-year cycle. It's been a long journey, let me tell you. At the start of the meeting of my counterpart, my foundation was leaking in my home that I own, and so the foundation was leaking in the front corner, and I've never actually replaced the damage of that leaking. I was waiting around for this person to do this with me and to rebuild this foundation with me. 7 years later, I've rebuilt this foundation on my own without the help of that counterpart that I was shown was supposed to walk this path with me. And not every counterpart chooses to step up in the mission. And it's been a hard, long journey of accepting that and surrendering and moving on without this person in my life, but always energetically there in the background, kind of consuming my energy. And so I'm actually going through a major home renovation over the next month or so. It will complete a couple days after Mother's Day. And Mother's Day was the first 3-day ascension that I went through back in 2019. I met the counterpart in 2018. And so find it very interesting that everything is coming full circle now. And so things are going to look a little bit different on the channel. My workspace is going to be upheaved because I'm renovating this whole area, the whole basement living room, and I'm redoing all of the flooring. I'm repainting and fixing all of the paneling. And I'm just super excited because I bought new furniture for down here. So everything's going to be brand new. And I'm going to be opening up the workspace down here to be able to provide my energy healing services, along with selling all of the crystals that I sell at the markets. And so I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the next 7 years. And I did notice 1221 on the timer when I looked up. So something connected to that 1221 conjunction that we went through, I think it was about 4 years ago. And so for me, this is really the year where I become the next highest version of myself. And I'm not forcing it, right? This is really the embodied energy that I'm stepping into as the divine feminine. And so I'm really excited. It's not like a flashy reset. It's like a deeply rooted year for me where I'm planting those seeds on that solid foundation that I've built over the last 7 years, preparing for the next 7-year cycle. And so I'm just really excited. I'm really, really excited. So collectively, I do feel this is going to be one of the most intense transits of the week, right? And so this new moon is going to be square Pluto. It's going to be, we got the new moon, right, on the Sunday. So we're actually, let's back it up. Let's talk about the Mars and Leo opposition, because this is going to be intense, right? And so Mars is our will, it's our desire, it's our drive to take action. And I'm also a Mars and Leo, and in opposition to Pluto, which I'm currently sitting in my 12th house of Aquarius. Pluto's transformation, its shadow, its power. For me, the 12th house is our subconscious. It's our connection to the spiritual world. And so this is going to trigger, I want to say, an explosive breakthrough. So really pay attention to the Leo, Aquarius houses in your birth chart, because that's where this opposition is likely going to be taking place at, in those houses, right? And so there's going to be a breakdown for a breakthrough, and there's going to be power struggles. There's going to be ego deaths. There's going to be sudden awakenings. And this is where the old masculine energy in the collective dies, right here and now, right? And so the divine feminine, I think you are pulling away. I think you are so done waiting. You're pulling away, and the masculine is feeling that energy pull away from him because of all of the resistance of walking the path and all of the resistance of the vulnerability. And so you might feel the divine masculine facing that inner turmoil. I want you to know it's not about you. This is the divine masculine's inner battle with his power and control issues and his purpose and his truth. And so what you need to do this week, all this week, divine feminine, is you need to stay centered in your own power, and trust that transformation always happens behind the scenes, and we might not exactly see it happening, right? And the divine masculine is in this climactic energy, I feel, of this ego death and this rebirth process that has been unfolding with that Mars retrograde in Cancer. And so it's like the masculine is being cracked wide open into his deeper soul mission, into this higher love. But there's going to be rage, there's going to be fear, there could be confusion that is surfacing. But on the higher octave, courage, purpose, and profound healing can also be activated in these transits. And then the next day after, we've got this new moon in Taurus. And so the moon is going to be square Mars and Pluto, and it's also going to be trine the Virgo ascendant in my local area, Eastern Standard Time. And so this is a powerful reset in that earthly, sensual sign of Taurus, but there's going to be tension, right? And so the moon square Mars and Pluto, new beginnings, but there's going to be a navigation of this internal and relational friction that has been avoided up until this moment. And then with the trine to Virgo, very healing and grounding energies are possible, but we do have to commit to stepping into integrity and embodiment of this divinity and this sovereignty. And so divine feminine, this really is a beautiful time for you to set those intentions around self-worth. I think self-worth and financial sovereignty. I know that's what I'm really working on, is the financial sovereignty and grounded love, right? And so it might come after facing a lot of emotional triggers this week, or a desire to feel safe, where maybe you've been feeling unsafe or unprotected or unsupported, but you're needing to trust and you're needing to nurture your nervous system and to make room and make that space for the next leg of the journey. Divine masculine, this moon is offering you a chance to commit to a new beginning, to commit to a new kind of masculine energy, one that protects, one that honors, and one that creates from the heart, not the ego. And so the square energies to this moon are going to bring a lot of resistance and fear, but there is a possibility for softness as well to be activated. But this is a deeper invitation for the masculine to build love on a solid, soulful foundation. And so this week is going to be intense. It's going to be transformative. There is a deep death rebirth cycle underway for the divine masculine, while the divine feminine anchors in her sovereignty and her emotional maturity and her sacred sexuality. And so together, I think the twin flame energies are being restructured from fantasy to soul aligned and grounded union. And so let's dig a little bit further with the cards. Let's see what the cards have to say for the week ahead. All right, let's break down these energies for the twins for the week ahead. As you could see, I am using the Akashic Tarot deck. It's been a while since I pulled this one out. But the card that came out for the masculine is the card of Paths Unknown. As you can see, it is the 8 of Scrolls. 8 for me is a very karmic number. It is the number of what goes around comes around. But I do feel this card is a reflection of the masculine standing at a critical crossroads moment, right? We see he's in the forest and he's got a couple of paths to choose from. He can keep choosing to repeat the karmic cycles, or he can choose to walk the path of light with the divine masculine. And I do feel this is a critical crossroad, probably one he didn't necessarily ask for, but he does have to face this right now in these energies this week. And I do feel there is this sense of hesitation coming through. There could even be confusion or fear of choosing wrong. But I do feel the divine masculine is also caught in this energy that feels like analysis paralysis and overly relying on logic when his intuition is nudging him forward. And with the green on the card, it is indicating this decision needs to be made from the heart. And so what this is showing me connected to the masculine is an awakening moment. And there could be a realization, like, let's face it, that there is no perfect path. Every path will come with challenges, but the true path really is the path of spiritual alignment. And so I do feel the masculine is being called to trust the next step, not the map. And there could also be a very heavy karmic decision here that is looming, connected to leaving something or someone behind in order to choose his purpose over this comfort zone. And so this really is the beginning of that journey into that emotional vulnerability. And what I feel is coming through for you, Divine Feminine, connected to this masculine card, is he is watching you on the horizon, even if he hasn't made a move. His soul knows the way, but I do feel there's fear about leading and coming towards you. So Divine Feminine, we got the Lookout card for you. And so this Lookout card is actually considered a major arcana in this deck. It's a 17 card, and usually 17 is connected to the star. We see a ship here, a flaming ship here coming through. And so I want to say, you are currently navigating a lot of rapid incoming changes. And I think you sense a storm, whether this is a personal storm, a collective storm, or both. This card is saying you have ascended the ship's mast, I want to say. And now you can see what other people don't. It's like you see this collective energy burning through, and you don't want to ignore the fire, and you can't ignore it, right? And you can't wish it away. But I feel there's an urgency surrounding the Divine Feminine this week, but not a panic, but an urgency. And so this is a big reminder for you to stay centered while this chaos is brewing, whether it's in your life personally or it's in the collective. But I do feel you're witnessing a lot of people, a lot of patterns falling away or burning away as you go through a spiritual test. And there could even be dramatic energy that is clearing or approaching you in your external world. And so stay high vibe, stay grounded. You are the one holding the line, Divine Feminine. And so I do feel there is a storm brewing for the masculine, and Divine Feminine, you need to stay anchored in that truth of this connection. It's not the energy of abandoning the ship, but you can't go down with it, okay? And so the combined energies that came through for the counterpart, I love it. It's the Treasure, it's the 2 of Keys, and 2s are crossroads energy. With all the purple on the card, I do feel third eye energy coming through. And so I want to say this is pure Tower star energy. And so the Twin Flame Collective is undergoing a divinely timed disruption. It's not to destroy, but to break open what's been hidden or withheld, because I almost feel a little bit of a Pandora's box energy with the Treasure, right? And so whether you're in separation or in union or somewhere in between, I just feel there's going to be a shakeup or revelation. You could even be going through the dark night of the soul, and there could be a soul triggered event that is designed to awaken both of the twins to a deeper inner truth. There are many layers of truth that gets revealed on this journey. And so I think what the universe is trying to say with this combined energy is let it fall apart, because underneath the breakdown is something very sacred and beautiful. And if you'd like to know more about your twin flame journey and how to navigate the journey like a pro, I do have a very powerful twin flame guide that I have compiled, a 22-page ebook guide. If you'd like to know more about how to navigate the journey like a pro, just comment twin flame guide down below and I will send you the link to download the guide in order to navigate what's showing up for you in these energies. But I do feel this is an energy pointing towards all of the surfacing of this long buried love. And so there's going to be memories. There's going to be spiritual light codes. This is going to be an intense week with all of these Plutonian and fixed sign aspects. And so there is a reconfiguration underway. And I do feel the chaos is actually part of the cleansing. And so the message to the twins is the pain is actually purposeful. It might not feel like it when you're in the midst of the pain, but it is purposeful. And so the treasure is never lost. It's just waiting for that exact moment to be discovered. So let's talk about the bottom of the deck, which I thought was pretty significant because we did get the Queen of Roses. And what I kept hearing was no more painting the roses red. And so we can't keep painting over the illusions. And so I do feel what this is affirming is, yes, this is real love. The twins are exactly where they're both meant to be, even if things don't look stable on the surface, even if you are in separation. There is a realignment of this soul mission and this heart truth coming forward. And so the Queen of Roses embodies that emotional maturity like I talked about. This is the divine feminine in her intuitive, compassionate, divine receptivity. And so this is a reminder that both of the twins need to nurture that inner feminine, that inner union, regardless of what the connection looks like externally. And there was also the One of Scrolls. And so ones are a new beginning, a new heart-centered beginning here. And I do feel this confirms that the path is unfolding. The twins are getting back on track, even if it's not visible yet in the third dimensional reality. We do need to continue to trust the timing, to trust the divine detours, and to trust the transformation that is kind of happening. And so overall, I feel the oracle messages are saying we're not lost, we're just about to arrive, but a decision does need to be made. And I do feel bravery is going to be needed. So don't fear the shift. The path is coming full circle. And so with the tarot spread, it's actually very powerfully connected to the oracle pull. And so we're going to break it down with the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the combined energies. We're going to talk about the bottom of the deck, and we're going to talk about these bonus cards that fell out when I cut the deck, and I was asked by my guides to set them aside. And as you can see, it's the Lovers in reversed with the Palace of Swords. And whenever the Palace cards come out, this is like the Ace of Swords on steroids. We also got the Palace of Wands in reversed. And so I just feel the truth can no longer be denied, connected to the karmic soul contracts or those toxic relationship cycles. And that truth is coming out loud and clear. But first, let's talk about the divine masculine energies, because this is a pretty potent spread. I feel this is the reckoning and the rise this week for the masculine. So the first card out, we got the King of Wands in reverse. This is deep sacred rage. This is deep primal fury, I want to say, connected to his own disempowerment. And he's going to have to confront all of the ways he gave up the throne with the feminine, all of the ways that he has silenced his truth or performed in a false identity to maintain that karmic illusion. And there is a very heavy sacred rage attached to this card for the masculine. But through the fury, I want to say we are birthing that revelation with the Ace of Swords. And so something is being unearthed. There's a karmic truth, pretty loud and center around the masculine. And it could possibly be connected to the betrayal and the feminine spread, right? Where he has betrayed his counterpart. And this suppressed truth is finally going to surface and even maybe be spoken. And so the sword is a cutting energy. It cuts through the lifetimes of illusion is what that felt like for me. And then the Knight of Pentacles is the rebuilding, right? I know the Tower's been coming out quite frequently lately in the readings. And so this is slowly, steadily rebuilding, reclaiming his integrity. He's going to have to reclaim his integrity through his truth. And he's going to have to realize he too has the right to take up sacred space. What I love that came out for the masculine this week is the Emperor card. This is the rise. This is the rebirth after the karmic reckoning. This is the divine masculine stepping back into his power. That's really what this is. This is not egoic power, but this is aligned, integrated, anchored, divine masculine leadership coming through. And then the Eight of Wands, rapid ascension, communication, momentum. Things are moving forward. Once that fire is cleared and cleansed, the path is going to be unblocked and spirit is going to accelerate the process this week. And so there could be sudden messages coming through from your counterpart. There could be an energetic breakthrough here. I do feel divine communication, and I feel the masculine. This is a clear indication that the masculine is no longer willing to stay silent. This fiery energy, this sacred rage is clearing the distortion and the suppression, and he's awakening to his sacred divinity, his sacred divine masculine form, where this truth is going to be his liberation, and this power is going to turn into alignment. And so divine feminine, I want to say you are becoming the emotional alchemist this week, right? The Page of Cups. This is vulnerability. This is innocence. This is returning to your inner divine feminine softness. And so this is where you decide to open up your heart again after all of the transmutation. And you're opening up your heart now from a place of wisdom, not naivety. And so this is a soul offering or a surprise apology. Maybe you're offering an apology, or an apology may arrive on your doorstep, because the Tower, I feel, is a divine shakeup. You might not see this coming. This might open up the emotional floodgates, or there could be an unexpected release or a truth that is going to disrupt some old expectations within this connection. It could be internal, it could be external, but spirit is clearing all of this emotional residue this week, okay? And then the Ten of Swords reversed. I just feel you're finally releasing all of the betrayals throughout all of the past lifetimes, and the cycles of abandonment, the cycles of deception. All of the pain is closing out for you, right? The worst has already happened, and so you are in a week, I want to say, of deep healing. You are in a week of deep spiritual integration, and you are becoming that sacred bridge between that heartbreak and the hope on the other side, right? Because we got the Two of Cups in reversed with the Ace of Cups. And so you do not need that external union to validate you anymore. You are whole in your own heart. And I feel that's what this new moon is leading you towards, a soul reset in love. This is an invitation to divine union, but without the codependencies, right? True love does begin from within. And so you too, I want to say, divine feminine, are being purified by fire this week. Your emotional, spiritual, and karmic cleansing is taking place, and you are emerging renewed, rebirthed in self-love. That Ace of Cups is screaming self-love, and you are ready to receive true union, whether it be with the counterpart or a new connection. But this is no longer being in trauma-bonded love cycles, okay? Let's talk about the bottom row, which is the combined energies of the twins. And this is the final portal. I really do feel this is the final portal. And so the Palace of Wands in reverse, this entire old structure of passion and purpose is being completely dismantled. The false flame, the ego contracts, the distorted sacred mission models, it's all burning up through this karmic portal this week. And the Eight of Cups is connected to the Saturn energy. And I do believe we have Venus conjunct Saturn coming up here, right? Which I talked about. And so this really is this energy, I want to say, where we must walk away. It's not optional anymore. Whatever at one point felt emotionally fulfilling that is no longer aligned, it needs to be walked away from. There's no more hesitation, right? And I do feel there's still a little bit of fear clinging here. There's hesitation in the energetic field. There could be a little bit of a mental prison here of self-doubt. But both of the twins are being challenged to free themselves from this old timeline, this old paradigm. And with the Seven of Cups coming out in reversed, this is all of the illusions falling away, fading away. So no more fantasy, no more projection. The choice must be made now, and it has to be made on something that is real and tangible. And then the Fool, this is the timeline split. This is it. This is where the leap must be taken into that new frequency, not from fantasy, but from faith. And this new moon, I want to say, is the final call for those choosing divine love and mission. And so the combined energy really is the final karmic flames coming through. This is the burning away of the last debris of fear, illusion, and control. And only those who choose to leap into the unknown with heart-led courage will step into the new twin flame timeline, the new earth timeline. Okay, so let's talk about the bottom of the deck energies. The Five of Wands, the King of Cups, the Death card, and the Five of Cups in reverse. And so we all know fives are challenging energies. And below that, we also have the Hierophant, which is asking us to seal the deal, I want to say. And so there's inner and outer conflict here dissolving, and the masculine is stepping into emotional maturity, and he's beginning to lead through the heart. And so the Death card is actually confirming this ego death, the full ego death, the karmic closure, and the spiritual transmutation. And the Five of Cups reversed is showing what I feel is that emotional recovery or the release of guilt or regret. And so the Hierophant seals the deal, right? This is a spiritual contract that the twins do share. This is a higher contract. And I do believe it is being rewritten. I do believe this is the week where that soul contract gets rewritten, where only love can remain. So let's talk about the bonus cards, because this was pretty loud. This is the false contracts being broken down, the karmic ties, the fake twin flames, the comfort zone soulmates. It's done. It's done. It's over. And the Lovers reversed is the disillusion of the ego contracts, right? So no more imitation of union. That's all done. Anything built out of ego is separating, and the illumination of the real, the higher truth is coming through. And so whatever was masked, whatever was distorted or cloaked in illusion, this week's transits, I want to say, are ripping the veil off of everything. And so there's going to be unexpected revelations. There's going to be endings. There's going to be soul truth pouring in at lightning speed. And let's face it, not everybody is meant to stay. Not every contract is divine, but the truth will set you free. But first, it's going to piss you off. And so true counterpart energy is being revealed in this reflection of the rebirth this week. And so it's pretty loud. Let's get one closing message with the Lovers Oracle deck, and we'll see what the universe has to say about the closing message, because this week is loud. Time. You're trying too hard. Give it time. Acceptance really is the key, I want to say, to this inner peace that we are birthing. So what is the closing message for the twins? If you would like to, and you're being called to understand your soul's blueprint a little bit better through astrology, I also want to mention I do have a free guide to help you decode your birth chart. If you want the free guide, just comment free guide down below. Let's face it, this twin flame journey is intense, unpredictable, and full of divine timing, and there's a lot shifting right now. And so really the best thing we can do is deeply understand our own connection to the cosmos. No matter what stage you are on the journey, that will allow you to have that clarity, right, of what is unfolding for you personally. If you'd like to book in a reading or a transit chart, check out the links below to my webpage. I do offer astrology mentorship and one-on-one twin flame coaching if that's something that interests you. But the closing message for the twins: close your eyes and tell yourself that you deserve to feel joyful. You can allow joy into your life regardless of the circumstance you currently find yourself in. Okay, we get, you may not always understand why certain things happen. However, there is always a higher purpose to the events in your life. So through the turmoil, a blessing will soon be revealed. And then we get the weight. Don't rush into it. Allow nature to take its course. And so bottom of the deck, when you pass from this world, you take nothing with you but your soul, the memories you have shared with those you love. So I think a big reminder that we are here on a spiritual mission, and balance is what is going to be needed over the coming days, because love is not always about agreeing just for the sake of it. All great relationships are built on support through the challenges on both ends. And so that is the closing message for the twins this week.